Jaffna generates the highest alcohol income. President invites everyone to unite in order to eradicate drugs.
A supplementary estimate exceeding 41.61 billion rupees presented to Parliament.
Dematugada Chaminda, who was sentenced to death yesterday, transferred from Valikadu to Bogambara over threats to his life.
The Varala-Bibile road, which was neglected for years, gets constructed under the government 100-day initiative.
Parliament's attention is drawn towards irregularities at the People's Bank.
මම දැම්මම ප්‍රකාශයක් කරනවා මගේ මතෙත් ඒක සුදුසු නැහැ කියන එකයි.
You're watching Prime Time News on News First. A very good evening to you. My name is Chaturang Hapuarachi.
And I'm Rahna Farouk. The 8th phase of the National Drug Eradication Campaign, titled A Drug-Free Nation, was held under the auspices of President Maithripala Sirisena in Jaffna today.
At the event, which was held at the Mutuali Open Air Grounds in Jaffna, official badges were pinned on children and awards were presented to the members of the police and the Civil Defence Force who contributed towards eradicating drugs from the country.
While protesters and demonstrators ask for various things, there are also certain things in our society which we must refuse and reject through demonstrations. No one is demonstrating calling for the closure of liquor shops selling arak. No one is taking to the streets and protesting against drugs. I ask you why these people who demonstrate for various reasons are not demonstrating against these things. I have a saddening fact to share with you here in Jaffna. You are aware that there are 25 administrative districts in Sri Lanka. Jaffna district is the district which contributes the most to the treasury through the sale of arak. The Jaffna district alone has about 69 to 70 shops which sell liquor and arak. Do not forget that intoxicants are the greatest social vice facing the northern region and Jaffna in particular.
A sum of 2,206 million rupees had been spent in the Jaffna district in 2015 on intoxicants. 13 suspects have been arrested and 194 kilograms of Kerala gold marijuana have been seized in raids carried out in Jaffna this year.
Supplementary estimate for 41.61 billion rupees is submitted to Parliament today, seeking financial provisions for several institutions including ministries, departments and commissions.
Additional financial provisions have been sought for wages and miscellaneous expenditure at a number of ministries, including Defence, Foreign Affairs, Health, Transport, Highways, Housing and Construction, Education, Sports, Disaster Management, Home Affairs and Finance. A supplementary expenditure head of 112.1 million rupees has been submitted by the Ministry of Health, seeking finances for Indian Ambulance Service, which was established recently in Sri Lanka as a paramedic ambulance service. A sum of 15 million rupees has been sought through the Prime Minister's office to establish a coordinating office for the reconciliation mechanism.
This was the road used to reach the village of Varala in Bibile.
The dilapidated road, which had not seen any renovation for several years, can be used today without fear. Another success story of the Gammadda 100-day initiative.
The Gammadda 100-day initiative.
Day 52. School children, people travelling for work and the villagers travelled on this road facing many hardships. Identifying the hardships faced by the people, renovation work on this road commenced 1 month ago on the 9th of August. Construction commenced under the auspices of philanthropist and businessman Ajit Vijayatunga and the villagers themselves. The road was declared open today following a month's hard work.
Sigiri gale aviliuve
businessman and philanthropist Ajit Vijayatunga, who provided the financial support to renovate this 1 kilometer long stretch of road, is supporting 4 projects undertaken through the Come at the 100 Days initiative. A sapling planting campaign also commenced today. The Newsfirst Come at the 100 Days initiative was felicitated by the Bibila Sarunakshaka Balamandalaya at the event. This is the second road to be constructed and declared open under the Come at the 100 Days initiative. Renovation of another road commenced in Badula today. The by-road leads to the village of Upagamua in Lunugala, Badula.
Institutions like Sirasa are part of the national heritage. We must safeguard such things. We must do what we can to protect this. If Sirasa lays their hands on a task, it will be done. Let us come together and work together. Tell us the problems you face in the village. Educate the children in this village. You can eradicate poverty through education.
We were able to commence this project because of the support of people just like you. That is why the theme of this initiative is with the people, for the people.
While the road will be declared open in the near future, a tree planting campaign was also launched parallel to the development project.
You have brought water to people who had no water. You have given roads to people who had no roads. You are rendering an invaluable service by renovating reservoirs, anicuts and waterways. Thereby, from among media networks, the name of Sirasa will be remembered for eternity.
The Come at the 100 Day initiative. With the people, for the people.
In more local news, Chaminda Ravi Jainath alias Dematagoda Chaminda, who was sentenced to death yesterday over the murder of former MP Bharata Lakshman Premachandra, was transferred to the Pallekele prison this morning.
Former parliamentarian Duminda Silva, Anurat Tushara Dimel, Chamindra Ravi Jainath alias Dematagoda Chaminda, and Sarat Bandara, who was sentenced to death for murdering former MP Bharata Lakshman Premachandra, were brought to the Valikada prison yesterday. However, the third suspect in the case, Chamindra Ravi Jainath, alias Dematagoda Chaminda, was transferred to the Dumbara prison in Pallekele this morning under tight security. In addition to the police, members of the Police Special Task Force too escorted the prison bus in which the convict was being transported in. A prison spokesperson said that Chamindra Ravi Jainath was transferred to the Dumbara prison in Pallekele as a safety measure.
We transferred the suspect named Dematagoda Chaminda to the Bogambara prison early this morning. A number of members of the underworld are currently detained at the Valikada prison, including some of his enemies. Therefore, the authorities at Valikada requested us that a special security program be enforced, and as a result, he was transferred to the Bogambara prison.
The other 3 suspects, including Duminda Silva, are being detained in cell C3 of the Chapel ward of the Valikada prison.
The Negombo Magistrates Court issued detention orders for a week today for the Indian national who was arrested at the Bandaranaike International Airport while attempting to smuggle in heroin worth 10 million rupees.
The suspect, a 31-year-old Indian, arrived in the island last night concealing heroin worth over 10 million rupees in his garments. The suspect is a garment trader. The stock of heroin weighing 1 kilogram and 4 grams had been concealed in the hem of 60 trousers the suspect was carrying in his luggage. The court handed over the suspect to the Colombo Anti-Narcotics Bureau to be interrogated until the 14th of this month.
The decaying parts of 100 weapons were discovered at the site of an excavation at the Matale Kacheri today.
When Newsfirst made inquiries, police noted that they believe the weapons were buried at the location several years ago. The police added that the firearms were of the 12-bore variety. Further investigations are underway and the police are to make submissions to court.
An individual was injured today in a stabbing which occurred at the premises of a lawyer's chambers in Kandy.
The victim is a businessman residing in Thalwatta, Kandy. He is currently receiving treatment at the Kandy General Hospital. The attacker was a father of 2, also hailing from Thalwatta, and was arrested at the scene of the crime.
මහත්මයා මාව කවකටන් දෙපා. මට මේ මහත්කාර කියන්න දෙන්න. මට අසාධාරණ කියලා තියෙනවා. මට හරි වේදනයි. මගේ දරුවෝ දෙන්නෙක් ඉන්නවා. මට දුවලා දෙන්නෙක් ඉන්නේ. ඔය දුවලා දෙන්නට හරියට හිරිහැර කරා මේවා එකක්වත් පොලිසිය මේ විචාරකාරව කටයුතු කරේ නැහැ. මේ මහත්තුරු එහෙම කරලා නැහැ මට. නමුත් පොලිසිය කලින් හිටපු නිලධාරීන් ඔක්කොම මේ හොරාට මේ ගණිකාව තියාගෙන ඉන්න සමාජ විරෝධී වැඩ කරන මිනිස්සයාට පක්ෂග්‍රාහීව කටයුතු කරා. මම පිළිගන්නවා මම වරද්දක් කරා කියලා. මං මෙච්චර කාලයක් වරදි කරේ නැහැ. හැබැයි මං අද කරා. කරේ මට මගේ දරුවෝ දෙන්න ආරක්ෂා කරගන්න ඕන.
The conflict between the victim and the attacker had allegedly arisen when the victim had reportedly defrauded the attacker's wife of a sum of money he had transferred while abroad for a case involving a plot of land. The attack had taken place when the victim had appeared for a court case. The attacker accuses the victim of harassing his daughters. Nevertheless, the police say that the attack was the result of the exacerbation of a private conflict.
The suspect arrested in connection to a murder of a 6-year-old girl in Sampur, Trincomalee, has been remanded till the 22nd of September after being produced before the Muttur Magistrates Court.
The police suspect that the 6-year-old girl Jagadishwaran Ajanta, a resident of Nilankani, Sampur, was raped and then murdered. The suspect in question, Sivam Anushantan, is a resident of the same area. As the victim's mother is currently overseas, the suspect had escorted her to play while she was playing at her residence in the morning. As the little girl had gone missing and not come home till noon, her grandmother had gone in search of her. A local who had seen the suspect escort the child towards the wooded area had informed the child's grandmother regarding this. Our correspondent said that it was then that the suspect had led them to the location where he had buried the child before fleeing the area. The Sampur police arrested the suspect last night while he was hiding in the forest. Meanwhile, a 4-year-old child has been reported missing from the Vanapara area in Putlam. Police say that the mother had sent the child to a shop in the town this afternoon in order to purchase some goods. Lodging a complaint, the mother said that it was then that the child had disappeared.
On to a developing story this evening. The Sri Lankan Airlines Pilots Guild has commenced a Work to Rule campaign to protest the alleged unjust suspension of a pilot. Meanwhile, Sri Lankan Airlines announced this evening that this was the action of a minority and that the majority of pilots support the airline.
Sri Lankan Airlines has suspended Captain Sujith Jayasekara pending an inquiry. Issuing a statement this evening, Sri Lankan Airlines noted that as a result of the delay of a flight from Frankfurt due to an inebriated pilot, steps were taken to conduct a breathalyzer test at the Katunayaka Airport too. The airline noted that the test is being conducted in line with civil aviation standards. The statement reads that Captain Sujith Jayasekara had refused the breathalyzer test on the 28th of August. The airline noted that since the refusal is considered a failure of the breathalyzer test under civil aviation laws, a decision was made to suspend the pilot pending an inquiry. The Pilots Guild convened a media briefing on the matter last evening.
So I can read out some of the questions that he has asked. He has asked, can you please identify yourself? Two security guys have identified himself. Then he has asked whether the test is only on our flight. The third question is, I have now been talking to you and for you to check me, do I smell of alcohol? Is the third question. Then for that he had answers, no captain, not at all. The fourth question, have you got any information to say that I have been partying or consuming liquor before this flight? No, the answer has been no, nothing like that, Captain. Did you at least get any anonymous call or message stating that I was consuming liquor before this flight? No, Captain. In which case, you are trying to breathalyze a test on me without any suspicion. Yes, we have been asked to do so.
While security officers had not conducted the test subsequently, the pilot had received clearance for the flight. Pilots say that the pilot in question was suspended following the flight.
He did not refuse to undergo the test. All he did was pose a question.
He said that if he undergoes this test, he may be unable to undertake his journey. If he feels that way, then he should not go. In our job, whenever we face any kind of mental stress, we do not fly. We have been given a leave in such instances. He said he was willing to undergo the test, but if he did, this would happen to him. When he said that, the authorities acted this way. It was not done. This is the problem. If he refused, then he must be punished. We have no problem with that.
The Pilots Guild points out that as a result of there being insufficient pilots at Sri Lankan Airlines to roster all flights, pilots are called on for additional flights as well. They say that as a result of the Work to Rule campaign, problems may arise with the schedules of flights.
The controversial plan to digitize the People's Bank was debated in Parliament today.
An IT project valued at 700 million rupees is at the centre of the alleged scandal. The Ceylon Today newspaper also reported that the issue was brought to the attention of the Prime Minister by two members of the People's Bank Board of Directors, and that steps are now being taken by the board to cover up the alleged fraud by preventing the flow of information in this regard to external sources. The newspaper advertisement published by the People's Bank on the matter was also criticised during today's parliamentary debate.
All evidence pertaining to the 700 million rupee tender at the People's Bank have been handed over to the Prime Minister's office by two directors with regard to the digitization project of the bank and the purchasing of hardware related to it. It is rather strange that two directors who went and handed over all written documentation. Was this advertisement published with your permission? Could they not have waited until the investigation concluded if the details were provided to the Prime Minister's office by two directors of the bank?
All the documentation that was sent to the Prime Minister has been sent to the Ministry. The Minister will provide a statement regarding this.
The permission of the Ministry has not been given. We have given the complete independence for institutions and banks if they want to issue a statement. They can do it economically, and this is the new system. If we are given permission, we will provide a comprehensive answer during the next parliamentary debate.
It was before a member made a statement regarding this that the Ministry had to inform Parliament about it. Without informing the Parliament, the People's Bank had started publishing articles to cover up the anomaly that took place using public funds.
That word that you mentioned was in the paper yesterday. I will make a statement about it now. My opinion is that it is not suitable. We will look into those and provide a complete report to Parliament.
Deputy Speaker, the issue is not about the paper advert. It says that one paper is publishing articles to tarnish the name of the bank and that no corruption of the sort has taken place. When the media highlights a certain corrupt activity, the institution that is mentioned says that only a certain paper company has this necessity. We believe that this is a serious hit on the people's right to information.
On the 30th of August, concern was raised about exactly how the People's Bank intended to upgrade its software and a limited number of hardware items. The stakeholders and those concerned with the progress of the bank, owned by the people, how it was going. There was grave concern that established procedure was not being followed. We welcome today the statement made by the State Minister in charge of the subject, Mr. Eran Wickramaratne. However, we do hope that this matter and this investigation will not languish in delays like the Treasury bond saga and the scam that eventually resulted in a loss, according to the Auditor General, of approximately 1.6 billion rupees.
Parliament approved the Paris Accord on climate change during the sessions held today. On the 22nd of April this year, President Maithripala Sirisena and other world leaders signed the Paris Accord aimed at reducing the global warming and promoting renewable energy.
As far as Sri Lanka's development is concerned, and we also have ambitions of rapid economic development, it has to be one that is environmentally friendly. Put it another way, I don't know if the opposition will agree, it's going to be a very, very green development, economically. Political one we'll talk later. But that tomorrow, yes, tomorrow we'll talk on that. But what we have to, this country has to move towards being environmentally friendly. The government has already approved a Sustainable Development Council bill. It has been sent to the provincial councils. I'd asked the Minister of Provincial Councils also to ask them to expedite it. Then we may be able to pass that bill, debate it and pass that bill also this year. Ask the Parliament to ratify this agreement immediately. And when the President visits New York for the General Assembly, that will be the last General Assembly meeting with both Secretary General Ban Ki-moon and American President Barack Obama, who had taken initiative in the Paris talks, that he should be in a position to announce it. So this week is the last week in which this House is meeting before the President leaves for New York.
There are numerous islands in the Puttalam district. What is your government doing to them? Some of the islands have been leased out. You could say that it was not during your tenure. However, your government has not cancelled these agreements. Billions of losses were suffered due to the contamination of the Kalindi River. However, did you take any payment from the Water Supply and Drainage Board? We need to save our rivers before we sign any protocols or accords. We need to save our forests. Who engages in these destructive acts? It is the politicians and their supporters.
Sri Lanka hopes to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by around 20%. We hope to reduce 4% unconditionally and a further 16% under certain conditions and with the assistance of developed nations.
Devo vassatu kalena sassa sampati hotuva hetuta pito bhavatu lokocha raja bhavatu dhammiko kela.
This was something which was preached centuries ago. We state our consent to the process aimed at taking use of an environment rich in diversity and protecting the entire human race.
Usage of coal has been one of the key factors that led to the increase in global warming. The people are not in favor of power plants that rely on coal. However, even in such a backdrop, there are a handful of individuals in the CEB who are disregarding the views of the public. This cannot happen. As public representatives, we have a responsibility to fight this. Everyone should come forward for this, irrespective of party differences.
5 students of Uduville Ladies College in Jaffna called on President Maithripala Sirisena today.
The current status of the school was brought to the attention of the President by the students. The students also handed over a petition to the President.
As you have right in presence of the President, he will definitely take up that matter in the highest levels. And he is very simple. And that's right. But because you think how you behave, he was so worried. He has not shown that, but he was really worried. So definitely he will take up this matter with the right. We'll do our part. Okay.
Bishop, one MP's wife, Sumandran wife, and this is a political thing is coming inside this school. All kind of nepotism is coming inside the school. This is a very old school in the Southeast Asia.
We serve
180 years old, and these children are crying now. They are in the streets. So this is very sad thing happening. So everyone supposed these children, not us.
Children are crying. This is a final application, sir, and we need peace. So we need an atmosphere within the compound.
Now they have made the representation to the President.
Yeah.
So he is aware.
Yeah.
So allegations are leveled that there is a political issue behind the problem that has arisen centering the Uduville Girls' School in Jaffna.
We are disappointed that there are political and religious issues here in the school. Now the people of Uduville have united to bring the former principal of the school back again. We will continue our struggle until we can bring back the former principal.
During a media briefing held today, the Regional Director of the World Health Organization for Southeast Asia, Dr. Poonam Singh, commended the Health Minister, Dr. Rajitha Senaratne, for the steps taken towards eradicating malaria from the country.
The media briefing was convened to announce the decision reached at the 9th Annual World Health Organization Conference of Southeast Asia.
One of the landmark decisions that was taken in this regional committee was the Colombo Declaration. This Colombo Declaration refers to strengthening health systems to accelerate delivery of NCD services at the primary healthcare level. Mortality from NCDs today is much higher than from communicable diseases. Sri Lanka has been doing extremely well on all fronts. For communicable diseases, we have seen this time there have been landmark successes in Sri Lanka with the elimination of malaria, which is huge, and the elimination of lymphatic filariasis. And the credit goes to the Health Minister of Sri Lanka, who has very ably led his team to see this elimination. Sri Lanka has also done extremely well on reduction of maternal and child mortality. This is something which the world looks up to Sri Lanka for. Sri Lanka has also eliminated maternal and neonatal tetanus, and that is something which other countries of our region also have been able to eliminate.
Also speaking at the meeting, Health Minister Rajitha Senaratne expressed his views on the mechanisms in place to deal with medical negligence in Sri Lanka.
There is legislation in the country for negligence, and there are some cases have been filed against our doctors on negligence. The Medical Council examines the cases and the Ministry of Health examines the cases. We take necessary action against the doctors. If they are in the health, the public sector, yes, we take decisions and we take actions against them, disciplinary action. And otherwise, the Medical Council takes action on their registration.
The opening ceremony of the 9th session of the Sri Lanka Model United Nations 2016 got underway this morning.
Sri Lanka Model United Nations is the largest Model United Nations conference in the country. Over 1,000 students from around Sri Lanka and other countries will take part in the conference. SLMUN has aimed to recreate the diplomacy practiced within the United Nations to provide students with a chance to voice their opinions regarding various issues that encompass the globe.
So many thousands of Sri Lankans, especially young people, really played a crucial role in defining the SDGs. Sri Lanka had, I think, one of the very largest number of people participating in the My World survey in 2014 and 2015. And so the young people of Sri Lanka have shaped this agenda. So this really is your agenda. The end result of those 17 Sustainable Development Goals, as you know, are a global plan for all people, for peace, prosperity, and for our planet.
Taking a look at some sports news before we go, the second T20 international between Australia and Sri Lanka is currently underway at the R. Premadasa grounds in Colombo. Batting first, Sri Lanka were 128 runs for the loss of 9 wickets. A short while ago, Australia were 97 for the loss of 1 wicket in 9 overs. With that, we wrap up prime time news for this evening. I'm Chaturanga Porachi.
And I'm Rahna Farooq. Thank you for watching.
Take
Have
care
a pleasant
and
night.
good night.